yet there is a lot more that remains to be done based on the challenges we find across. And in fact, the challenges are also increasing across the spectrum. We live in an ICT era, so even the computers people are using is introducing new challenges. And sometimes some of the NGOs working may have the zeal to do something in the best interest of the child as relates to what our own Children's Act is talking about, that is Act 560 of 1998. But when we look at it very well, you see that the best interest principle is suffering because sometimes there are other related interests that is not adequately catered for. So the question is, what have we done? What can we do better? How do we get our efforts pulled together to ensure that whatever we want to do better is done well and also in line with our laws? So this forum brought together all the NGOs. We can't say all of them, but we've had delegations from more than 1,400 represented in this forum to come and talk about the issues, ask. And even from going through what they are saying, you can see that there are so many concerns cross-board. It may not all be resolved today, but it tells us that there is a lot more that we can do to make things better as we ask questions, get resolutions from law enforcement agencies, from the ministries, from duty bearers, and also from the NGOs themselves, so that they can be responsible to the actions they take and do not necessarily keep duplicating what they do across board. That doesn't help. So that's what we are here for. We cannot say we have done all that we need to do, even though we've taken a significant step. And as I mentioned, because of change in economic circumstances, you always find the problems replicating themselves in one way or the other. And that is our biggest challenge. So at any point in time, we should be reviewing what we've done, the emerging challenges, and then sitting up to go and do what is best under present circumstances.
So at the end of the program, we're told you issue some communique. Can you elaborate on that?
The communique will relate to what we found here. People need support. That is one thing we've seen. There are some working at the community level who do not have that support at all, even though they are doing something. Sometimes people do not also see what the law relates to. So they should know how to work in tandem with the law. And also, how do we liaise with governmental agencies in order to deliver? Because without asking governmental agencies to do their part, no matter how we do our part, we are not able to meet the expectations of the children we seek to work for. So these are important issues that are coming up. And All Africa is bringing it all together. It will be presented to the ministry because the duty bearers, the main duty bearers we cannot run away from is the state. It has the biggest responsibility. It's signed on to the convention, and we should be asking relevant questions of it, not because we want to maintain confrontation, but we want the best out of our government in order for children to grow up to serve us. At a period that we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, this is the time we need to ask, what have you done? What are you still doing? But it should be based on relevant and accurate information and what our law says. If we say we need to commit this amount of money to children, did we do it in the budget? And even if it was done in the budget, did we release the funds adequately to help them? These are questions that bring up. So the communique is reflecting the views across board in relation to these mentioned issues.
But after the forum and what happened today, do you see child neglect dying soon?
That is a challenging question. Because if it should work, you can see the question at the base of it. Whose responsibility? I have a responsibility. The state has got a big chunk of the responsibility. Parents should never take themselves out of that same responsibility issues we are talking about. And then, you know, it was mentioned in one of the sessions that the media, and it makes us feel guilty if we are coming from the media. We need to keep the issues on the front burner. There may be political issues, but how do we devote some attention to issues in relation to children's development so that we ask relevant questions of all the segments of society who should be doing something?
Personally, what's the relationship between you and the media, your outfit and the media? What's the relationship there?
Oh, here we are working as a committee, but you know, generally we are also coming from the media. But All Africa as an organization, as it works, try to relate very well with the media together with the other NGOs to come up. But since we are talking about different responsibilities. They put up a committee from different segments working in the interest of children, because I also work with children and we also write on children a lot so that we can also support the effort. So it means partially, as I'm represented here as a media person, you are also represented to bring it up further. So it's invariably roping us all into what we are talking about to share that responsibility.
So you say that all this is in a bid to petition government, that is the number one stakeholder in child responsibility issues.
Not just to petition government, but to always keep government on its toes as other segments of the society do their part to help the cause of children.
Yeah. So are you? What is the expectancy of Africa, and do they also have a timeline? As in, when we present these things to government, when we put government on their toes, what is the expectation of Africa on the hands of government?
Exactly what we expect to happen to children. And it is not just squeezing government's hand. Globally, we are working towards global set goals. That is Agenda 2030. We need to meet them. So anytime we want to get children off the streets, it means that together we are working to take the children off the streets. Anytime we are talking about the fact that all children should be in school, it means what we are trying to do is to help the children to also be in school. If a child is not in school, why is the child not in school? When we are talking about F-Cube and now we are talking about free SHS, it means there is a problem somewhere. And then we ask that relevant question coming from the Dakar plan of action in relation to education. The fact that when a child is in school, that child should be receiving quality education and not just passing through the system. So if that child can get quality education, what is needed? We need to be asking these questions. But we are working towards the global goals. When we are able to achieve our local set objectives, it means we are fitting into the global spectrum.